Yeah.
All right, we are live. What is up, Delaware County? It is episode number 36 of Delco Baseball Now. My name is Brendan Ricciardi. I'm joined by Ben Thorpe. And Ben, for the first time, we are live on video here.
This is a little bit of a new experience. I'm going to be completely honest. I just before I get roasted, I'd like to point out my McDonald's headset that I have. This is the best way to help with the audio issues.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if anybody needs their order taken, Ben is your guy. If this is your first time seeing either of our faces, I'm so sorry you have to go
Yeah,
through
yeah,
this.
that's
It is what it is, you know. But listen, no, the main reason that we decided to do this is because, like, throughout this whole summer and baseball season, we've kind of learned that different people like to consume their content in very different ways. Like some people would rather read articles, some people would rather see graphics and the stuff on social media. But kind of what I learned through the whole Little League run was all these kids like 8 years old, 9, 10, 11, like they love baseball and they love this content, but none of them have social media accounts yet. And none of them, really knew about this because they're all on YouTube. So kind of trying to get this YouTube channel going is, I think, our big next step, right?
definitely that, and I guess TikTok. I don't know. Like,
I don't know. Oh man, TikTok would probably be more stuff like, if we could get like live ABs or like
yeah, it'd have to be like
more like
that.
highlights, I guess would probably be the best thing for TikTok. I don't think you'll see any of us dancing, but I
Nope,
think
definitely not on this half. But
no, but I don't know. I mean, TikTok definitely has its stuff where you could be like, like you get someone like mic'd up in practice. You could have something where it's like a little like Q&A type thing. So
mm,
there's a lot of options, but I think YouTube is definitely a good start for doing more video stuff.
yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about what's going on in the Delco baseball world right now because quite frankly, there's really not that much going on. Now that media season has come to an end, it's mostly just talking about the Phillies at this point. But to wrap up the media stuff, they will be having a parade on State Street in Media at 3 o'clock on Saturday. I don't know where it's going to start. I'd imagine they're kind of just going to go one end to the other, but there'll be a ceremony at Barrel Park after. And I mean, that's got to be like every kid's dream, to have a parade in your honor.
Oh, it's got to be the coolest thing ever. I mean, it's got to be. They've had to have had a pretty good time since coming back. Just with I think like they had the Phillies game and now like the parade and everything. Probably makes up for them having their summer end and school starting and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure they wouldn't trade that for anything. But I mean, I can't even imagine the reactions they got when they walked into seventh grade for the first time. I mean, like obviously, all of their friends will know about it, but like there's probably teachers that didn't know like any of them that watched them on ESPN, and then they walk in and it's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
this guy,
Now
yeah,
now I got to give this kid vocabulary homework. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and the funny part, so shout out Trevor Skoranek because he DM'd our account asking if we covered middle school baseball, and I was like, "Listen, man, if we have the staff to do so, that would be hilarious." But unfortunately, that's not where our priorities are. I did tell him though that travel baseball is something that we could look to get into,
oh yeah,
just to
definitely.
keep us entertained in the fall, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a ton of fall ball that's going on. I mean, I'm like coaching some fall ball, so it's like, yeah, there's a ton of it. I think that could definitely be something good.
Yeah, I mean, there's people like us that are thinking about baseball all 12 months of the year. Like, obviously, I cover high school football too, and it's football season in Delco at the end of the day. But there are still people that care about baseball at this time.
Oh yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Phillies, pretty much everyone like that's.
Yeah, yeah, and we cover the Phillies a little bit different than we cover all the other stuff because we're very open about the fact that we're just fans. Like, I don't want to be a Phillies reporter. I don't want to be a Phillies journalist. Like, I don't want to be one of those people that has to sit in the press box and keep my mouth shut because I don't want everyone to know that I'm rooting for them. Like, if you're in the press box, you can't cheer. You're supposed to be an objective journalist. And
Really?
obviously,
Even
both.
if you're like a Phillies journalist?
Yeah, yeah, even if you're a Phillies journalist, because you're
Oh,
still
that's
you're still
lame.
supposed to be covering the team. Like you're not. I'm sure there's plenty of Phillies beat writers that at least were Phillies fans, like grew up, but like you're not supposed to be.
Huh.
Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah, yeah. Because like it's a different world for like the Jared Carabases of the world that are like more like bloggers. They're not supposed to be objective. They're writing to cater to the fans in that regard.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
there's definitely a difference between like what they do and I guess like what we do and like what actual like not actual journalists, but like people who are hired by like more I guess
Yeah, like
I don't know what
publication.
the word be like
Publications,
official.
athletic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like whatever. No, but I think, someday, and obviously this is only our, we've just hit the 1 year mark back in June of this company as a whole. Someday, a credential for us wouldn't be as much to sit in the press box. It would be to try and get a photographer to create our own
Mm,
content and to be able to be there for the post game interviews.
yeah.
It's like be able to like get video or get audio. Like, can you imagine if we're doing a show and then I can just like post a clip of like, like an interview that we filmed or something? Like, I think photography would definitely be one thing. But at the end of the day, like, we've kind of learned that the content, the social media stuff probably comes a tick ahead of
Mm,
the print journalism. But also, like, maybe we hire someone who either isn't a diehard Phillies fan or is fine being like objective, and
yeah,
we can do the fan stuff. Yeah. Possibilities
definitely.
endless. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah. All right. Well,
lots
let's,
lot to be done.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the show here. Also, last thing I'll say about the media, I just want to give a quick shout out to Little League because getting the credential and being able to be there was really cool. And I'm glad we got that opportunity. We talked about it before, but just like we may never get to Williamsport again, right? It was, I mean,
Yeah.
60 years since that. So shout out Little League. They treated us very well. They made sure that we were able to get into all the press conferences. They let my dad sit in the press box because it was basically empty on my side for the second game that I went to.
That's pretty
So,
sweet,
I don't know if you can hear my dog barking at nothing upstairs, but
as one does.
yeah. All right, well let's get into the program here. We're gonna start off like we did on the last episode for the first time with some updates from our minor league guys. All of our guys from Delco that are playing minor league baseball. Kevin McGonigle, first professional home run. Do you see that video?
I did. I saw one where it was. I didn't see the full home run, but I saw when it was kind of off the bat and then cut to him rounding the bases. But either way, like very cool. That's got to be an awesome milestone.
Yeah, yeah. I think I saw that same one. It looked like left center off the bat. Like it was the same thing. It like cut to him running, then cut to him coming in the dugout, getting some
Yeah, yeah.
cowboy hat or something. I
That's
think.
pretty
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah. I mean, off the bat, it looked left center. And he's having a good start in single A Lakeland, which is encouraging because like he wasn't, he didn't play bad in the Florida Complex League Tigers, like wherever he started in the rookie ball, but like he's playing better in single A than he was down there, which is awesome. He's got a 313 average, 846 OPS. He's playing for the Lakeland Flying Tigers, but like, that's got to be just such a weight to get off the back.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think like I mean the jump from high school to professional baseball is probably a lot. Like no matter what rookie ball, single A, whatever. So I think with with the time that he's had down there, he's probably getting more comfortable. I would assume. But that first home run is I feel like that could like open the floodgates a little bit.
Yeah, and I truly think his ceiling is a second base or shortstop that hits for power, right? And that's
Yeah,
something that is pretty rare, especially at second base. Like when you think of current power hitting second baseman, like I mean Bryson Stott's like up there. I mean Marcus Semien, like there aren't
yeah.
many guys that truly hit for, and I'm talking like 25 to 30 power.
What was it? What was the quote from like Always Sunny with the when they were talking about Chase
Oh,
Utley?
it was something like, do you know how rare it is in the National League to have a second baseman that hits for power? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I
like
think I
so
think
rare
that's
in
what
the
it was.
National League, like the way he said it. But yeah, I mean, he's got the type of game that like he's I think polished was the word that a lot of scouts were using, where
Yeah,
where it's just like his swing is very pretty. There aren't many holes in it. He's a good defender. He's been stealing a lot of bases, and I don't think anybody in Delaware County is surprised at the quick success.
not at all. Definitely not. It was polished as a. I think especially offensively is a very good word to use for him.
I think for him, I would say his goal is to probably try and, start at high A next year. That would be ideal. Maybe start at single A and then make it up to high A next year. But I think no matter how well he plays, it might be tough for him to make Double A next season just because of how young he is. But you never know. I mean, Jackson Holiday's in Triple A. He's 19, so
Yeah, I mean Jackson Holiday's also was hitting like upper threes through the entire thing. But no, yeah, it's you know maybe there who says he can't go do that. But definitely as like a I guess he'd be 19. If he's somewhere, if he has a good season in Single A, I think that's beyond a success.
yeah. And I think you go into the offseason, like something that I personally like to do is I like to have a realistic goal and a lofty goal,
Yeah,
right? Like last year for school is like, all right, our goal, our realistic goal is like let's win a national championship, and lofty is like let's try and be like All American, something like that, right? Like I think he can have the all right, like let's get to high A, maybe see if we can get to Double A,
yeah.
and I'm curious. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to look it up now. I'm pretty sure one of the Tigers' minor league teams is in Erie.
The
Seawolves?
Seawolves,
Yeah, I don't know what level here. I'm going to look up what level it is. I'm pretty sure.
they were two double A or triple A because they used to be in the show.
So, all right. So, single A is Lakeland, high A is West Michigan, Erie's double A, and Toledo's triple.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, awesome to see the great start. I assume they don't have much season left at this point. I mean, I know that already. Just moving down the list a little bit, uh, I think Ethan Pecco and Tom Kane are shut down. Their numbers haven't changed much since the last time I looked at
Mm.
them. Both of those guys had a full college season, a full summer season, so it'll be nice for them to be able to just come back home and just get back to training, kind of take a deep breath. Like you had such a hectic spring, summer, waiting to get drafted, and then you get immediately sent down to your complex and then just get right out there and start playing. Like it's got to be nice for them to just have a full off season, which they probably haven't had in a while.
Yeah, no, it definitely I think would be good. I don't know like how that works, like getting shut down and everything. I guess maybe I don't know, like velo drops or something. They just kind of I think especially the college guys are probably just like, all right, like first year you're good because they did that with Paul Skeens too. So like it's going to be good to just get home, relax, kind of take in everything that's happened, and just get back to work. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And hopefully we'll get some interviews in at some point. Doing the format like this, like Ben and I are not together right now, was kind of just to test out this format with like the template and everything. I mean, the goal someday is to be able to do shows in person with just like different camera setups. And I think doing interviews at different training facilities would be pretty cool. Uh,
Absolutely.
I'm actually going to add something in here as news. I'm not sure if this counts, uh, but like I think it does. So there's two main training facilities like right in Delco on Newtown Square, and there's On Deck and there's the Bell Ringers. And I'm pretty sure at this point this is public knowledge, but they actually are going to be merging
Oh,
because
really? They're
a company
merging.
called a company called EL1 is a partner with Major League Baseball. There's actually one in Conshohocken by you as
Okay.
well. So EL1 bought them both,
Huh.
and they're going to be moving into the facility that the Bell Ringers have been using, like the Philadelphia baseball training. That's
Okay.
just called EL1 Newtown Square now. And I don't think I'm not
Ah.
exactly breaking news because I have friends that coach for the Bell Ringers. Like they all know, like all the on deck people know. Might be some news to the general public. I don't know what's going to happen with their travel teams, but what I do know is the on deck facility is Dunzo in October,
Hmm.
and they're all going to be going to the bigger bell ringers thing. But just wanted to add that in with the whole training facility that it's pretty much in Delco. It's Ascent, it's EL1 Newtown Square, and All Star. That's kind of like the big three, right?
Yeah, yeah, those are the big dogs, and then I mean obviously there's like other ones that kind of I know what do you know where's Brain and Barrel? I see them pop up a bunch.
I've seen that with Sammy B, I think.
Someone literally just told me where they were and I completely forgot.
Look it up. I
It,
No, I have seen that before. I didn't know if that was a Delco thing or not. It looks
I've
like
s-
it's
I've
in
seen a
Phoenix.
lot of okay, oh, so it's out by me.
Yeah, at least I don't know if there's multiple locations, but that's where this one is. It's not quite Delco, but when Delco guys go there,
Yeah.
it fits in. But all right, let's keep it rolling here. So Chris Clark, along with McGonigle, also got the call up to Single A. Heck of a team name here, the Inland Empire 66ers. I
What
don't
happened
even
in
know.
66?
I don't know. I also don't know where Inland is, but let's see. It's in San Bernardino, California. Yeah, I don't know what the 60. What is a 66er?
Hmm.
All right,
Let's
yeah,
do a little
that's
Google.
a beverage, so I don't think that's probably what it's about.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, it's a California-based team, which makes sense for the Angels. He's picking up right where he left off in terms of strikeouts. I mean, he's got 22 strikeouts in 19 innings so far for the 66ers. It seems like
all right.
uh,
I got I know why.
why is it the
They're
66ers?
they're named after Route 66 that runs not far from the stadium where the team plays.
There we go. That makes a lot
Yeah,
more
there we
sense.
go. Now everyone's learned something today.
Yeah, and you can still call them the Sixers too.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, same thing we were talking about with Chris Clark, Haverford School and Harvard alum. The last time, 6 games started so far in his tenure there.
Love
So
that.
it seems like he's going to get that opportunity. I mean, when you get a guy like him that's 6'4", 6'5", you use the cliche like he projects as a starter. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, obviously they're going to give him every chance. And I forget who it was. There was a reliever. I'm blanking on his name in the majors that was wearing a failed starter T-shirt.
Andrew Chafin.
Is that who it was? Okay,
I
yeah,
think it was Andrew Chafin.
I
Yeah,
had that name in my head, but I wasn't quite sure. But yeah, I mean, they're going to give him the shot to be a starter, see what happens, go from
love
there.
that. Hey, if he does well, the Angels like to move guys up that system. So
Yeah, I mean, shout out Nolan Shanuel for making the majors like 3
dude's
months
balling
after he
too.
was drafted.
That's
And
got to be insane. Like you got your college buddies, be like, yeah, playing for the Angels now.
yeah, and like no disrespect to Florida Atlantic, but like 98% of the people he played with are done baseball after college, right? Like
Yeah,
I
hundred
can't
percent.
imagine that many people at a Florida Atlantic get drafted. Probably like I probably gets like 2 or 3 maybe of his team,
I would
would end up
assume so. Yeah.
would get it because they're still a good program. But yeah, it's exciting. Shout out Chris because he actually did want to come on the show after he got drafted, but apparently in his Angels contract he had to get permission from the organization first,
Oh,
and that was something that was kind of just like a all right, like we'll catch up in the off season. That's like
yeah, yeah.
you know.
That's a weird. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just an
Huh.
Angel specific thing. I mean, I think it is because when we were going to talk to Verbitsky, like he didn't mention anything about that. So
Interesting.
yeah. All right, let's move on here. Shout out Billy Corcoran. He got the spot start. I saw on Twitter for the Hillsboro Hops, 3 shutout innings there. I guess spot start either means that they have had him working out of the pen more, or maybe it's like he was supposed to pitch one day and didn't. So let's see. It looks like for Hillsboro, he's mostly been coming out of the pen. Uh,
Yeah, that's usually a spot starts like a pen guy's got.
yeah,
I would assume someone probably got called up or sent down or released or something, and he or hurt, and he was the guy who stepped up to take that spot. Which shout out
yeah,
to him, man.
yeah. And I honestly always thought he was going to end up as a starter as well because like his pitch mix definitely tailors more to starter. Like when you see someone that is kind of low 90s with a really good changeup, you kind of think that's someone that's going to like go out there and go through a lineup like 2 or 3 times instead of coming in late in the game to like blow it by him. But I don't know, maybe like long relief is his role. Like someone like a like a Lorenzen or like a Matt Strom, where it's like, hey, like if you
Yeah.
need me to start, I'll start. If you need me to bail out a starter who's struggling, I can do that too.
Or
It's
he's
a
trying to put on velo too. That could
yeah,
be.
yeah, it's a valuable tool to have for sure. All right, let's keep it rolling here. So I don't think we've actually talked about this guy too much on the program. Andrew Bechtold is someone that when I used to train at Maple Zone, I'm talking like way back like 2016, 2017, he had been drafted out of Garnet Valley. I think he got drafted by he's been with Minnesota this whole time,
Yeah.
but he's got an 800 OPS in AAA for the
All
Twins.
right.
Now, the issue for him is have you seen what Royce Lewis has been doing for the Twins?
No, but I would assume he's doing pretty well.
He's hit 3 grand slams in the last, like, month.
Oh my.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So he's
for
he's killing it. That's.
yeah,
I mean, he
but
was like, he was their top pro. He's been their top prospect for a
yeah,
long time.
I wanna say he was picked first overall. I don't wanna I know it was first round, like, somewhere.
I
I
think he
think
was first overall.
it was
Uh,
definitely first round.
was he first
Um,
overall?
it
I
looks like
think he was.
yeah. Yeah, well, either way, the issue there is, like, he plays the same position, third base, as Bechtold does. So
Mm,
that's kinda like, all right, unless you hit
yeah.
3 grand slams in a month, you're kinda
Yeah.
in a tough spot. But yeah, no, he's another guy I could see kinda doing like a Jim Haley where it's like, you've been in one organization your whole career. At this point for him, it's gotta be coming on like 6, 7, 8 years. maybe you could just be like, hey, like I would just like a fresh start somewhere else. Maybe see if I can get a
Mhm.
chance to break through. But I mean, either way, like 800 OPS, 257 average in AAA for the St. Paul Saints. They didn't really strain themselves
No,
much on that team name.
no, then listen, we're fans of the Philadelphia Phillies. I'm not gonna sit
That's
here
the
and
thing.
like I'm
Yeah,
not gonna sit here and come at people about names.
that's fair enough. That does seem like a good transition though into the Phillies portion because for the minor league, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head. I think there's somewhere around maybe like 10 or 15 Delco guys in the minors right now. I have a list. I mean, just right
Oh,
there.
it sounds
I mean, we just talked about right there alone. We talked about the four that got drafted this year: Billy, Bechtold, Verbitsky, Furman, Kahanowitz, Mark Washington. I mean, that's just 10 right off the bat right there.
yeah.
Chris Newell, like I'm sure there's guys that are slipping through the cracks just of what we've been talking about right there. But I mean, I think that's Jim Haley.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
somewhere around
is
10 or
Brendan
15.
Little still in the league? Or
Ooh,
not the league, but
well,
in the minors?
I think he's still with the Cubs because he definitely debuted last year. I do remember that.
He did. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it looks like he's in AAA right now. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
last year the Cubs were not good at the end of the year, so I think he just got
Yeah.
to play. I forgot about him because in my head, Conestoga doesn't like immediately pop out. He's having a solid year. He's got a 4.5 ERA for the Iowa Cubs right now.
Okay.
Respectable. 65 strikeouts, 64 innings, get the job done.
Nice.
Yeah, no, we definitely have to start setting odds on like who's the next Delco guy to make his we'll say big league debut because Little
Yeah.
did. I mean, you got to think it's Haley or Bechtold just based or Mark Washington based on the AAA.
Mhm.
But I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
see. Minor league baseball is a tricky thing, and that's why I think talking to these guys in the offseason will be cool to just get like some like I want to talk to all the guys that just got picked. I'm like, all right, take me through like what it was like from the second you got the phone call to like the second you threw the first pitch, right? Like the stuff you
Mhm.
don't really hear about as much. All right, let's keep it going here. We'll get into the Phillies portion of the program here. Shout out Trey Turner for the birth of his son Tatum Turner. I believe it's Tatum Trey Turner, so we're going triple T here.
Wow. That is a like what's the alliteration?
Yeah,
Solid alliteration.
I mean, I just can't wait for Tatum Turner and Crew Harper to join Liam Castellanos in 2045 to play with the boys.
I guess Liam would be there a little bit earlier because he's
Yeah,
already he's 9, so
yeah. Liam will be the aging vet on the team.
yeah.
Harper
They'll
and
show him the ropes.
yeah. Yeah, no, but I mean, it's exciting, and I think it's funny that you see people are saying it was like around 9 months since he signed the contract.
Yeah, I mean, hey, makes sense.
Hell of
Like,
a story. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would have liked him to wait to the off season, but we still we split the games where he was gone in San Diego, so
he's
uh,
coming down the stretch with a new dad strength. That's all
that's
right.
true. I don't know if it's his first child. Um,
I don't think it is, but
I don't think so either.
and I don't
But
know how it works, but I would imagine dad strength just multiplies per
yeah, I
like
mean, look at
child.
Antonio Cromartie on the Jets. It's like the more kids he
Yeah.
has, the more you're laying people out. Philip
Yeah.
Rivers,
Dude,
like
yeah, he got better with age.
like a full NFL team of children.
So he's
Uh,
at like 10 or 11 now, isn't he?
I it might be double digits. I know at one point it was 9.
Those
I'll say
Team
that.
Rivers could play like Team Cromartie in
Yeah. Well,
flag football, I guess.
we always joked, as a Strathaven guy, Kevin Clancy, our head coach, I think he has 8 or 9 kids, and we always were wondering, like, you guys have
Wow,
like a fantasy league between like all of the kids?
that would be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, it would. Let's talk about Turner from the baseball side, though, because it's been 2 weeks since we were on the air. We wanted to kind of take a breather after that long little league season ended, and just, I mean, we've been basically, covering stuff nonstop since March, really, when high school baseball started. But I mean, that Angels series, I think, is where Turner truly broke out in terms of having the
Mhm.
clutch homers. Like, the standing O and the hot streak was great, but like he had impacts in almost every game. I think he had homers in, I want to say 5 straight games, definitely at least 4.
Yeah, he had a few because that was. I mean, he's been unbelievable for a
Yeah.
while now.
I mean, he might set a career high in homers in the year that was like for the majority of it, probably the worst baseball year of his life. Because you think a guy like that probably never struggled in high school, never struggled
Mhm.
in college, right? Like his career high in homers is 28, which would mean he only needs to hit 6 more in September.
That's always really. He's never broken 30.
Nope, never
Huh.
broken 30. He's
That would
hit,
be insane for him to get his like if he broke 30 this year after just
yeah,
the start he had, an
yeah,
abysmal start.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is probably, I would argue, like one of the hottest streaks I've ever seen of a Phillies player in the regular season. I mean, Harper's playoffs last year was like an easy
Yeah,
number one.
those were.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
Harper's. No, from what I've thought, I feel like Harper has most of the hot streaks, especially in like the regular
yeah,
season.
I mean, just off the top of the head, like Reese Hoskins when he made his debut, hit like
Yeah.
20 homers in 40 games. Dom, that 1 month of Dom Brown. Don't even get me started on that 1 month of Dom Brown.
Adubel Herrera had like a because he made an All-Star game
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
He had a really good.
yeah.
I'm trying. I mean, and then like you had like the Howard, Utley, Rollins, but those guys I feel like were just
Yeah, I mean, Howard was just
always
hot
good.
for like 4 years in a row,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. He had a
'06
4-year hot streak,
you
and then the
know,
Achilles went.
yeah. Um, yeah, no, I mean, it's just like it's exciting to see, and it brings a whole new dynamic to the offense because, like, not only is he getting on base, but he's fast. And having, when you have Schwarber at the top of the order, it's nice to have some other speed there to,
Mhm.
So who do you think wins a race? Schwarber starting on second or Turner starting on first?
Ooh, I think it's still Schwarber on second. I don't think that's enough. I don't think that's enough distance.
Okay. What about, do you think it would take, I'm trying to think of some like hypotheticals here. I feel like endurance would be the issue for Schwarber. So, like, do you think Turner could go like twice around the bases before Schwarber did like once or something like that?
Even then, still probably. It's got to be. It's got to be like a bigger scale.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, either way, we can talk about Schwarber for a sec just because he hit his 40th home run. He might have an OPS over 800 with an average under 200. And, I'm a Schwarber, I mean, if we have to separate ourselves into Schwarber haters and Schwarber lovers, I'm on the lover side. But, it's just amazing like how like unusual this season is and how many people still insist on moving him out of the leadoff spot. Like you can't do that at this point.
Yeah, it's. I think for part of it, it creates such a unique. I don't know, it puts like the starting pitcher in such a unique position. I don't think there's anyone that. I mean, for once, like Schwarber, I think clearly does very well at a leadoff spot. Like it's not random that he's had so many home runs in the first at bat of the game. So like I think it's like a unique challenge for opposing pitchers that makes life a lot harder. And I don't know. I think having that there is a lot better than somewhere else in the lineup.
He's just a tone setter. Like I think I heard on the radio that he's hit a home run to lead off a game 13 times as a Philly, and they're 9-4 in those games.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, like I feel like you don't want. This could be weird, but just thinking through it, like having an all or nothing guy like that in the middle of the lineup kind of makes things hard because like the times you get it all and there's guys on and everything, like great, but the more increasingly times you don't get anything, it's kind of like, well, okay, now we're either out of an inning, stranded guys. So like you put that in the leadoff position, and it's like, okay, we either start with an out or we're up 1-0, and it's like
Yeah.
that
And
works.
I don't think enough people talk about Schwarber's walks because,
He
like,
does draw a lot of walks.
and like I know as a leadoff hitter, like speed is usually supposed to be a big part of it, but you want your leadoff hitter to get on base, right? And I think that not enough people are thinking about that when they, want him to drop down. But at the end of the day, it's about comfort. He likes hitting the
Mhm.
leadoff spot. The team plays better when he hits there, and nobody's going to be complaining about it when he leads off the wild card round with a homer, right? Like
Yeah, no.
that's you have to, you have to deal with the some games where he goes 0 for 4, 3 Ks, but he might hit 50 home runs. So
Yeah, I mean, this is just who he is as a hitter at this point. I mean, before like he's had higher averages before, but this is what it is this year, and I think the leadoff is definitely the best spot for him.
yeah. All right. Well, the last individual player I want to talk about before we kind of just get into like the game recaps and the previews. Are you a little worried about Michael Lorenzen?
Um, no, not like it's. I mean, the entire pitching staff as a whole right now is a little bit worrying, but I think it's also one of those things where like, hey, like let's. I don't know. It's a long season. Lorenzen has been a starter now after being a reliever for so long. This is probably getting close to like the most work he's gotten. He might be getting tired, or the guys might be getting tired. It's one of those things where like, hey, let's maybe get to the finish line and then get the playoffs, let that adrenaline kick come in, and now we're firing on all cylinders. But like with Lorenzen, he is like he's always been a contact pitcher. Um, and Philly's not a particularly pitcher friendly park, so kind of being a contact pitcher in that park sometimes won't work out for you. I know doing the no hitter to start kind of sets the expectations sky high, but I don't know. I think he kind of is where he has been. He's given up runs, but I don't know. I'm sure he'll follow up with a couple really good games as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I mean realistically once the playoffs start, you're gonna see Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, and Walker as the four starters, with him and Chris Sanchez as probably the long guys. That would be my
Yeah.
guess.
No,
Just
I think that's probably the best way to
I,
go about it.
yeah, and I think the more interesting question then goes, who starts the third game? And honestly, it at the end of the day, it could come down to just righty lefty. Like if you're playing a team with a lot more righties and you throw Walker, lefties, Ranger, I personally would trust Ranger more because man, Taiwan Walker's first inning scared the hell out of me. Like it seems like every game, like you look at his box score, it's like all right, like 3 or 4 runs allowed, but like they're like all in the first inning.
That's the scary part about that is too, like both Walker and Ranger, you're gonna need like your bullpen pretty stacked and ready. Like so, like I mean, granted, you're gonna need that anyway in a playoff series where one of Wheeler or Noel is gonna have to give you a gem. But I would also go Ranger. I don't know. I watch Walker pitch and it's like I don't like. I feel like his playoff start's gonna be a couple runs, like 75 pitches through 3 innings, and we're just going to be
Yeah.
screwed.
If he
But I
doesn't
mean, he
have,
could.
yeah, no, sorry, what are you saying?
Oh no, could obviously prove me wrong. I'm not going to act like I know everything, but that would be my guess for him in a playoff start.
If he doesn't have his splitter, he's going to get shelled. That's
Yes, yeah,
basically.
absolutely.
But if he has it, then he's hard to hit. And I don't know. I think just knowing what we've seen from Ranger, that he's got like that clutch gene, like he
He's a
bears down.
dog.
He's probably what it's gonna be. All right. It was honestly not a bad road trip for the Phils. I mean, if you told me going into you're taking on a division leader on the road, and then you're taking on a team that should be way better than they are in the Padres, that
Hmm.
they go 3-3 coming off a great homestand. I'm fine with that. It stings a little when they blew that one game in Milwaukee on that Bohm error, but they
Yeah, that one.
rebounded for it. They tried to blow that 9-1 lead on Monday against the Padres, but 3-3. That's a completely valid road trip, and now they come home for Miami.
Yeah, and that should be another big one. I mean, they're currently in that third wild card spot. But yeah, I mean that bone one hurt so bad though. It just you can tell like it hurt him. It just hurt because they were out of that. I mean, and that's tough.
It just hurts because like all season, I feel like I haven't even thought about like how awful Bohm was at third last year. Like
Hmm.
he's not an elite defensive third baseman, but last year he was like almost unplayable at third, and this year, I mean, I have to give credit to him and the Phillies infield coach. Um, Blanking off his name, I think it's like Dickerson or Dickinson or something. Completely blanking, but like he looks like a major league caliber third baseman, and that's why like that game just gave you flashbacks to last season.
Yeah, that's. I mean, errors happen. But that was a particularly brutal one at a really bad time.
Yeah, and it's always at the end of the day, like physical errors happen. It wasn't a mental mistake. He didn't throw to the wrong base. He didn't forget the outs. Like he missed a
No,
ground.
yeah, he just
It
yeah,
happens.
and that's I think like if there's a team to do that on, it's the Phillies. Like they're gonna be from everything that I've gotten from that team is they're very much like they're gonna pick him up and make sure that one that doesn't happen again, but two he's like not thinking about that when he goes and
Yeah.
makes other plays.
All right. Well, this weekend against the Marlins, it's weird. I'm gonna double check again now, but MLB did not have a starter listed for any of the Marlins pitchers for any of the games. So I don't know if
Oh,
if they just don't know what they're doing yet. Because for the Phillies, so tomorrow it's going to be, I believe it's Chris Sanchez. Let me just double check that. Chris Sanchez. Okay, so now
yeah.
they have Yuri Perez listed on Friday. Saturday, they still don't have anybody. Okay, so now it says Johnny Cueto. So Johnny Cueto and then
Forgot
Aaron
he's
Nola.
still on the Marlins,
Yeah, we're gonna
or
tee
not
off
still,
great.
but on the Marlins.
Sunday is TBD. I will actually be there Saturday night because it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Night. So something that
Sweet,
impacts my family, my whole family, and our foundation's going. I heard we're getting gold Phillies hats, so that'll be pretty cool.
nice.
Um, but yes, I'll be there. I'll get some in-depth reporting on that game. But same thing, like you would love a sweep, but just give me 2 out of 3. Just win
Yeah,
every series, and you're going to make the playoffs. At this point, with the lead that we're going to pull up in a second here, that's pretty much how I feel.
yeah. No, I 100% agree.
All right, well let's test out this handy dandy screen sharing function here, just to get a quick look at the wild card standings here. Oh
As
baby,
wizardry.
look at this. All right, well, let's start off with the AL because we've spent most of our time talking about the NL so far. Baltimore with a very comfortable lead for the 1 seed in the American League. I mean, the Rays are a couple games back from them. I should rephrase that and say the AL East is pretty comfortable with the 1 seed.
Yes, yeah. That's. I mean, I don't see Tampa catching Baltimore at this point, so you could probably just say Baltimore. But yeah, the AL East, like those two teams are they've done the work to get themselves pretty much clear of everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, and shout out to Houston Astros. I'm gonna give them their credit, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna say this is more about the Rangers than it is about the Astros because the Rangers. I mean, this is a colossal meltdown.
Yeah, and I don't like. Weirdly enough, I was gonna say like also I think you gotta give a lot of credit to Seattle because they've now thrown themselves. They went from nowhere and threw themselves firmly in this playoff thing. Where honestly, like whoever loses the AL East is going to get a red hot either Houston or Seattle team in that fifth wild card, and they're probably going to be in trouble. Um, but yeah, dude, the Rangers thing just I don't know. I feel like it like almost came out of nowhere the same way Seattle's run did.
I will pick Seattle against Tampa 100%, just because Seattle, like you said, they're going to be red hot. They're
Oh
going to
yeah,
throw out there Luis Castillo, George Kirby, like somebody. Like I will pick them in that series for sure. But yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that Texas was so good in the first half of the year, did a bunch of additions at the deadline, and then got this much worse is a very weird dynamic. Like they added Max Scherzer, obviously they added some more starting pitching. They had an all-star team, it filled infield. Like they had multiple all-star starters, and it's just been a ridiculous meltdown. So I did not see that coming. I thought they were I mean, I wouldn't, have been surprised to hear the Astros would win the division, but the fact
yeah,
that they
yeah,
might not make it is embarrassing.
yeah. That's I mean I don't think they are gonna make it. It's hard to, especially at this late in the year, it's hard to turn that around, especially when like Toronto's been playing. I mean, everyone above them's been playing really well. You've got the Yankees who are they just swept Houston. They're charging up the standings. It's I think it's gonna be a tough September for them.
Yeah, and let's talk about the Yankees for a sec because they are only 6.5 games back. They're undefeated since they kind of brought up the young guys like Jason Dominguez and some of their other prospects. And I'm not going to completely rule them out because 6.5 games is tough, but it's not impossible. And it's really one of those things where it's like this is what happens when you get out the old veterans that aren't playing well and bring in the young guys with something to prove, right? Like I was just talking with one of my Yankee fan friends about this, and I joked that like during our club season this year, like coming off the injury, I did not play very well at the start. And then once we brought in our stud freshman first baseman, who probably should have started over me to begin with, but once he started playing, and some of the guys that were key members of our team last year kind of took a back seat for the new talent to come in. That's when, as an offense, we really hit our stride and came together. Like these Yankees kids, like they're playing with nothing to lose. Like if they don't make the playoffs, that's not on them. They're coming in trying to show what they can do, and they're just having more fun than an old injured Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like I think definitely the change in expectations for the team. I think there's probably a lot of pressure that just got taken off by the moves that were made. That was I wish my roommate was. He's a huge Yankees fan, and I have been been hearing this for just so long. So I'm kind of happy that it's finally happened. But then now it's happened, and now he's like, oh, why didn't they do it earlier? So that's been a fun conversation to have. But yeah, I think getting new guys in just changes everything up a little bit. And now you got some energy. You don't have these old vets that are just I don't really know what their goal it was, but
Their
I
goal
don't
was
know.
to enjoy the big leagues while they could.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like Josh Donaldson's days of being a starter on a contender are over.
Yeah, no, it's done. And they're gonna need someone of those three to have a collapse. I guess they're either gonna need Seattle to just stop dead in their tracks, or Toronto to go on a terrible run to probably have a chance. But it's it's cool to see those young guys kind of get up and do it. I mean, people have been talking about Dominguez as a star for so long. It's cool to see him up and having success, and just seeing what the future could hold for him.
Oh yeah, I mean, I knew about the nickname Martian like 4 years ago when he was like a
Yeah,
16-year-old switch hitter that looked like MLB ready immediately.
dude, they were calling him the next Mike Trout at 15 or
Yeah,
16. It
exactly.
was
All right, yeah.
like
Final
he's
thoughts
got a
on the
shot.
Yeah, final thoughts on the AL. I think it's going to be this group of 6 teams. Like the Rangers are still talented. Wouldn't surprise me if they make it, but I mean, if I'm a betting man, like I think Toronto's probably better than Texas. But
Hmm.
let's quickly move on to the NL here before we wrap up the program for today. The Atlanta Braves with their 230 plus run differential is just silly looking at the rest of them. I mean, the Braves won the division, the Dodgers won the division. I want to talk about the Chicago Cubs though, because the Cubs are a very talented team that they could win the NL Central. They're only a couple games back.
Yeah, they've been hot too. They're like a weird group of guys who are I feel like there's a weird group of players on the team that are good but not really good or great. But they've just been I don't know, they've just been doing it, man. They're doing great.
Yeah, like the best player on their team is probably Cody Bellinger. Honestly, like with
Yeah,
this he's having, might be Cody Bellinger.
I guess you
Just
could say yeah, you could say Steele just because he's a Cy Young contender. It's
legit side
probably
together. Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, like I think it's weird. I'm going to say this, but we'll see if it makes sense. I think the Cubs are better than the Brewers, but I'd rather play the Cubs in the wild card than the Brewers because the Brewers pitching and bullpen scares the hell out of me in just like a short series. Like the Cubs outside of Steele and Stroman, like might taper off a little. Like in a 3-game series, I think that I would probably rather play the Cubs. I don't know.
yeah, and
Brewers have had our number.
I mean that too. The Brewers, you look at them, I don't know, I feel like they're not built for chaos, but if they can control a game, they're gonna control a game. So that's kind of where they you fall behind them and you're probably screwed. The Cubs, I don't know a ton about honestly because I don't think I've watched them play once this year, but they have kind of a little bit of an inexperienced thing. I think I'd rather see the Cubs as well.
They're a team that I don't want to play them in Wrigley.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, if we're away, I think I'd rather go to Milwaukee.
There might be more Phillies fans in Milwaukee than Brewers fans.
Yeah, I
Bizarre
I
guys.
want nothing to do with going to Wrigley. That's yeah. So at home, I'd rather play the Cubs. Away, uh, definitely Milwaukee.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense for me. I mean, I like where the Phillies are at. I think at this point, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know what seed. I don't know where. I think that, I mean, as we saw last postseason, like it is a big deal getting that home field advantage in that first round for
Hmm.
sure. And I think that, the schedule, we have to play the Braves 2 more series, which is going to be tough, but it'll also kind of be like a measuring stick, also kind of just like get us back into that rhythm of like playing these elite teams and see how we stack up. But I mean, the last wild card is going to be just a shit show.
Yeah,
I hope
that's gonna be chaos.
I hope it comes down to. I mean, I'm sure by now you've seen that documentary for like the 2011 wild card, like the last,
Yeah,
like the game 162, like that having 4 teams going for the last spot is way crazier than anything that happened on that day. If they're all within one game on the last day, and all the games start at the same time on the last day at 3:00.
Do they?
Yeah, all
Is
the
that a
games.
new thing? Is that a new thing now?
It was
Okay.
new last year.
All right, that's really cool. I
Like
didn't know
Monday.
they did that.
Yeah.
That would
So
be that'd be sick.
yeah. I just want to give a quick shout out to the most confusing baseball team of all time, the San Diego Padres, because you look at their I don't know how well people can even see the numbers on here, but you look at the run differential. There's one team on the bottom half that's in green, and they're plus 64. And I don't know how they calculate this like expected win loss column thing that's like, right here. I don't know how they do it. But regardless, like the Padres, they're like 0-10 in extras. They're like absurdly under 500 in one-run games. Like I think it's a combination of bad luck and they're just not being clutch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of I feel like they're having just like an all-time bad vibe season. Just
It is
it's
bad vibes.
it's there's so much like talent there for them to not to be. I mean, I wouldn't call them like bad, but they're definitely not good.
Underwhelming.
Yeah, very underwhelming. That would be the
You
word.
like, I say this like, and then I realized like they threw Rich Hill against us. And then it's like, all right, maybe it's because they're
Yeah,
sucks. That's outside of Snell.
that's also true. I mean, they got what Snell, Darvish isn't hurt, right?
No, he pitched.
Yeah, so Snell, Darvish. It's beyond that. I don't know who they have.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
Musgrove.
Yeah, I mean, final predictions here. Like, I think the Phils and Cubs make it. The last spot, I mean, honestly, like, I think the most talented team here is probably Jesus. I feel like they're all very similar. I mean, just
I
based on,
give it to. Oh,
I
I
think
don't know, man.
I think top to bottom, Cincinnati maybe. I don't really know. I mean,
I would have said they were the least the least talented out of all of them.
I guess they have. I don't know. They're just very young. Probably Arizona.
Yeah,
Go out with Merrill Kelly and Zach Allen. Like they could give the Brewers some trouble.
yeah. That was Arizona's probably one there. Honestly, like as boring as I think Miami might hang on to it.
They have better arms than anyone else.
Yeah.
I don't know. A lot going on here. I'm going to stop the screen sharing because we are coming to an end for the first video podcast. I think overall, I mean, the fact that like this is being recorded, but in the future we'd like to do it live. We didn't really have many times where we had to like, stop, check it, like,
No, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's part of also like doing these more that we're getting. I would hope we're getting better at them.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I mean, when I used to do the Phillies podcast with Drew, we briefly did live stuff actually with this software. Shout out
Oh, no
StreamYard.
way.
I knew about
Love
it.
it.
I told Drew, I'm like, we're getting the band back together for like hoping we make the playoffs for like a playoff preview.
I like it.
Bring Drew back on. He's in DC right now, but yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I got for this program. Make sure if you're not doing anything Saturday, come out to the Media Little League Parade and show the boys some love. They deserved it for all the work they put in. I told Tommy Bradley he's not touching a tab all night. These are
Oh yeah,
this is a business expense.
100%. Love
Like
that.
like after all that you guys have done for our growth, I'm like we owe you.
Yeah.
Like Shirley Temples for all the boys too.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. Perfect that we finished wrapping this up right before the Chiefs and the Lions game gets rolling here. But as always, thank you for tuning in. If you have not yet, subscribe down below. We'll be putting out more content, not just the shows. We'll be doing more YouTube content as well. If you're listening on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, make sure to give us a follow on social media at Delco Baseball if you have not yet. But for Ben and myself, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.